After a tough trip to Michigan, Oregon State looks to bounce back against San Jose State, the final non-conference game of the year, and we'll get you ready next on #BeaversFootball. Make sure that you send in your tweets tonight to #BeaversFB. I'm Katy Brown along with Matt Sieverson and Slade Norris. Matt in for Nigel Burton tonight. Glad to have you here on the set.
Good to be back. Feels good to be back.
All right. Well, of course, we're going to spend some time looking ahead as we head into the final non-conference game before Stanford comes to town next week. But first, got to rewind a little bit to Michigan. What do you take away, Slade? What did we learn about the Beavers from that game that we can take forward?
It's a young team, you know. Our youth showed. We came out real strong, but then didn't really know what to do after we had that early success.
Real strong, like surprisingly strong, right?
It surprised Michigan completely. I don't think they were ready for something like that, and so that showed a little inexperience with their veteran team too. So youthfulness, and then also our line play on O-line and D-line. We got ran all over, and they kept pushing us back. We've got to get stronger in that category when we face teams like Utah, teams like Stanford later in the Pac-12. We've got to move forward in that aspect.
Big thing for me, like you were saying, is absolutely young team. I think, moreover, that was just a great experience for our young guys. That's going to pay dividends long as the season goes along. Great learning experience. Didn't turn out how we wanted to, but in the long run, I think that's going to pay dividends going down the road. Biggest thing, too, is we need to get the offense going. We need to pick up some first downs because the defense looks good. They're energetic. They're fast. They're athletic. But they need a break. They need to get off the field. They need the offense to pick up some first downs, put some points on the board, get them feeling comfortable, get them rested so they can go out and play to their top ability.
They were whipped in the second half last week.
They were, but it's stuff that's correctable. They're trying to do too much out there. They're a young team, and young team makes those kind of mistakes. They jump out of their gap. They're trying to cover more than they're supposed to cover. It happens when you're so young, and getting that experience and getting that on film when you go watch it the next week, it's correctable.
Everybody's trying to make that great play, make the game-turning play, and they need to just, like you said, they're young. They just need to make the right play. They just need to do their assignment, and everything will take care of themselves. Right now, we have a bunch of young guys trying to be Supermen, trying to be Slade Norris out there on the field. That's not going to work. Everybody's got to do their assignment, and things will turn out for the best.
Well, I think about our keys to the week at the end of last week's show, and I remember one of the things, I think it was Nigel that said special teams, right? And that is where the game really turned in the final minute and a half of the first half, and that is when the snap went over the punter's head. He gets taken down at the 2-yard line, and just disastrous. That was after they had another punt, the first punt, go down to the other 2-yard line that got called back on a penalty. So it was like a 96-yard swing there where it looks like they have Michigan buried. And then suddenly they're set up for a short scoring drive. But Oregon State did hold for a couple of plays. And we had one of our viewers send in a tweet saying, what happened at that end of the first half? The orange one saying, Slade, your thoughts, reason for the timeout just before halftime when Michigan was in disarray at the goal line. And that was, as we mentioned, after the Beavers had held. Here, second down. Again, Michigan close. They'd already gone for it once. The Beavers stopped them once again to set up third down with under 30 seconds to play, and it looked like there was a little confusion. Maybe you could take advantage of that.
Look at right here. Watch the Michigan offensive coaches. They're trying to hurry up. They're trying to snap that ball again. We were out of position. We had personnel out there they were trying to take advantage of, so that's why that timeout happened. Yeah, they looked like they were in disarray in field, but they were looking at the sideline, trying to get the call so they could hurry up on our defense. They knew they had us in the position they wanted us.
And you could see with the way Anderson ran out on the field, he saw something he didn't like. He didn't like a personnel matchup. He saw Michigan trying to do something to take advantage of us either on the edge or from personnel. He knew what he was looking for. He saw something he didn't like. He's going to take that timeout every time. He'd rather be over-prepared than cross his fingers and hope it turns out well for us in that situation.
So the orange one, you disagree. That's why they scored on the next play.
They did.
But you need to be you need to be ready when you're the coach.
That timeout, looking at it from TV, it looks like we kind of gave them a break. But in reality, we had a personnel grouping out there that wasn't going to line up with what they had. And Michigan knew that. That's why they're trying to get that play out there as quick as they could before we could switch our personnel out.
And for Harbaugh, everything that he's been throughout the years, coaching in the NFL, being successful in the NFL, I have a hard time believing he's not prepared for third and goal at the goal line or 3rd and 1. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's got his right players on the field. He knows what he's trying to do. He probably called 2 plays in the huddle before that so they could speed it up the next play and hit us in the mouth before we were ready to punch it in.
I do want to say, though, on a change of possession like that, it is hard for a defense to come out. And those first 2 stops they got, I mean, that's great for a defense on a goal line situation against Michigan at their place to come right out again and stop them twice before they finally got in.
Actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was good. All right, well, of course, another thing to talk about is the running back situation early on in the season for Oregon State. And Storm Woods, who apparently had a knee issue, or at least we're told, and the Michigan game last week. So this week, Storm and Chris Brown talked about the running back situation so far.
Whatever Coach Anderson wants, whatever Coach Baldwin wants, my job is to produce when my number's called and get my other backs ready for when our number's called. And it's not selfish, you know. We want to run the ball successfully, and we're going to, but we have to block, we have to catch. It's so much more, you know. We have to be the older running backs have to be good mentors to the younger guys, not just running backs, but the whole team. So it's no worries. It's just we have to be a well-rounded group.
We're brothers. That's my brother, you know. We definitely push each other. There's competition between each other, and it has been. You know, I push him, he pushes me, and it's always been like that.
And when we take a look at the numbers against Michigan, well, of course, Storm didn't play a whole lot, was only on their 3 rushes. Chris Brown picked up 33 yards, and then Deltron Sands with 13 yards. This group got to find a way. It all starts with the rushing game, right? And so far, really, the quarterback is the leading rusher.
One thing I wanted to say about this whole situation here is Storm comes to the game. They're expecting him to play. All of a sudden, right before the game, he's not ready to go. What impressed me is that a guy like Chris Brown comes out and does so well in the first quarter. And even Deltron Sands came in and ran some good ones. To be game ready, to have that mindset going in to where all of a sudden your number's called, you're up, you're the guy, let's go. That was impressive to see what he did that first quarter.
There was that one play in that first drive, too, where he was kind of showed such patience and finding and waiting the hole. And I mean, he had some good runs.
And he's really gotten so much better. I said, I think last show, with his patience, just seeing the gap, waiting for it to open, because sometimes it's not going to open right away. Matt, you can talk about this being an ex-running back at Oregon State, single-handedly beating Oregon.
I don't know about that, but it is a very impressive job by Chris Brown. He stepped up when his numbers called. He played very well. Little interesting that actually Woods got back into the game in the second half. I'm not sure if suddenly magically he felt better or what the reasoning was for that. Maybe the team, maybe Coach Anderson thought he could give us a pickup going into the second half. But great job starting the game off by Chris Brown. We really need to find a running game, though. We need to start running people downhill. We need to that needs to be the backbone of our focus. Take it off, take some of the pressure off Collins or Marcus, whoever's playing quarterback, open up some throwing lanes for him. That's really going to help. So we really need to start getting the running game going.
We seem to have had this situation, and this has sort of been the case at Oregon State the last couple of years, where there's not a standout. There's 2 guys who sort of give you okay production. Do one of those guys need to stand up and sort of take that position over?
You know, I think it's less of the running backs and more of the offensive line. I think we'll talk about later who we think should start in this next game as a running back, but that second half, Chris and both Storm, they had nowhere to run. The gaps were closed. And so I don't care if you have some kind of NFL running back, Le'Veon Bell back there, he's still not going to be able to do anything if there's nowhere to run.
Being an ex-running back, you have to make it happen. It doesn't matter if there's 3 guys in the hole. It doesn't matter if there's the hole the size of this desk, which I was lucky enough I had a great offensive line. There was a couple holes the size of the desk, which made me look really good. But as a running back, you have to get the job done. There's no excuses. Those 2, to answer your question, they need to get in a competition. I mean, they're like Chris was saying there, they're like brothers. Well, they need to feed off each other. And I need to go, if I'm Chris, I need to go pick up 12, 10, 5, 4 tough yards, bust a big one for 20, and Storm needs to come in and say, hey, I'm going to one-up you. And just keep one-up each other and challenge each other, and that's how you grow.
They need to be brothers who like to compete with one another and beat the other one. All right, well, coming up later in the show, Nigel Burton will also address the running back situation and Burton's breakdown. But now let's see what's on tap, brought to you by Whitmer Brothers Brewing. Seth Collins, we will give him a grade through 2 games of the season. How has he fared? How has he stacked up so far? And also we'll preview San Jose State, turn to take a look forward at what is next, coming up just hours away for Oregon State. And later in the show, Slade and Matt will give their keys to the game. Plus, we want you to weigh in with your keys. So send us your tweets at #BeaversFootball. We'll be right back.
Well, now Seth Collins, the freshman from San Diego, California. He'll take it off to the left. Hurdles attack clearing. Well, it's not in the book, but he does it. Back to throw is Collins. Beautiful tight rotation. And makes the catch and a touchdown. What a start that was.
Great ball fake, and Collins takes off running. Collins breaking free. An impressive opening drive for the Beavers. Michigan brings a blitz. Collins stepped up into it and threw a duck. Collins, the nifty footwork. Whoa! Up and over and down.
That's dumb. And he'll learn how to do this. And it's dumb because he's young. What he has to do is slide to protect himself.
Well, he certainly has forced others to take notice through his first couple of games. Seth Collins did not take long to establish himself as the starting quarterback for the Beavers, really, to start the season. Against Weber State, 10 of 18, 9 of 16 against Michigan. Of course, so efficient in that first drive of the game that ended in the touchdown. Ended up passing yards about 80 last week after 92 in week 1. So you see those numbers through the first 2 weeks. How do you grade him?
I think, honestly, he's doing a great job. He's right on track for his age and where he is on this team. He's got a lot of things to work on still, but the best part is he's not making any mistakes that's going to hurt the team. He hasn't turned the ball over, which is huge. I mean, for a young quarterback, all you can ask for is go out, just don't lose the game for us. And he's doing a lot of stuff with his legs. It's great. What he has to realize, though, is when he plays a team like Michigan's defense, he's not going to be able to run all over the place like he did against Weber State. We'll see how San Jose State was.
That was a nice throw.
That was a beautiful throw, right in the corner of the end zone. And that's what we want to see more of. I want to see more of what he can do with his arm, because as the Pac-12 develops and he faces better athletes, he's going to have to start winning games with his arm instead of his legs.
He's made some great throws, made some unbelievable throws. Like Slade said, I agree with you 110%. For how young he is and the way he's performed so far, not turning the ball over, that's unheard of for a true freshman through 2 games. What I'd like to see him do is slide. He's 6'3", 190 pounds. I mean, he's basically
so
a toothpick.
Much more fun.
You have to slide. Marcus Mariota, even though he was a Duck, I will give it to him. He was an escape artist, great athlete. Even Heath Slater got out of bounds, and I think he outweighed Collins by about 30 pounds. Collins will not survive the season if he doesn't learn to slide. I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm. Guy's got a heart, you know, as big as can be, but he needs to learn to slide and get out of bounds once in a while.
He has brought a lot of excitement, and I agree. I think he has shown some really good things to look forward to in his first couple of games. Few areas to work on, and one of those is helping to convert third down conversions, his performance on third down. So it is time for our Toyota interview. Toyota, let's go places. And in this edition tonight, Dave Baldwin talks about Seth Collins' performance on third down.
I am pleased that he's made some good decisions with throwing the ball, but he's also missed some third down opportunities throwing the football. But you know, he's put some deep balls very accurate for us and given us opportunities to make plays down the field.
Did you see what you wanted to see out of him going from week 1 first game to week 2, tough road environment?
You know, it's tough for a young freshman. There's no doubt about it. But you notice his progression, it will be third downs and where he's comfortable in the pocket. I thought our O-line gave us a couple opportunities, and if he'd stay with his feet in the pocket and make the throw on time, then we're going to progress and do the things. I think he felt a little bit of a rush and the nervousness there, and as a young quarterback does that, you know, that's part of that process of growing up. But just stay in the pocket, slide, and throw the ball, and when he makes that progress, then you're going to see it.
All right, there you see it on his first downs, just 4 third down conversions so far this season, and none longer than 7 yards. So all in that short yardage range so far in the season. So obviously an area to improve. And what's the key to growing up in that area? Talking about how young he is and getting the experience.
You know, it's just getting back and getting in the film room. This last game will provide a lot of great film for him. Just that last clip you saw right there. There was a blitz coming up the middle. He all of a sudden got happy feet, tried to do a little jump throw. You can't do that at the Pac-12 level, and he's going to see that and knows that he has a great coach with Coach Baldwin there. He'll coach him through everything, and we'll see a lot of progression as the season goes on with how he does.
Absolutely. That's one part of it. I agree with you. He's going to grow up. He's going to grow. He's going to get more comfortable in that situation. He's going to make better decisions. The other thing you need to keep in mind is that we need to give him manageable third downs. We need to give him 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
You know, because if he's sitting in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, they're going to bring guys like Slade in off the edge who are sack, pass rush specialists, and he's going to be hassled.
They're salivating.
Yeah,
right?
they're just waiting to take a shot at him. So we can't allow that to happen, and that goes back to the running game, picking up 3 and 4 yards on first down, connecting on short passes. on first and second down, but we need to give him manageable third downs so the defense isn't bringing blitzes and they're not bringing their pass rush specialists off the edges, because that's a lot to ask of a true freshman. That's a lot to ask of anybody, let alone a true freshman who hasn't been in that situation before.
All right, well, tomorrow evening, big night at Reserve Stadium, not just because of the game, but because it's a big recruiting weekend with recruits coming to town, including Christian Wallace, an athlete from Katy, Texas. Such an athlete that's how they describe his position. And look what the Beavers did for his arrival. He got his own personal comic strip that was tweeted out.
I love this.
I like it. I love it too.
Did you get one of those?
No, I mean, I got the whole, you get a few letters, you get some coaches calls.
I think that is really cool.
They came to the high school to talk to me. But looking at this, I mean, this is a kid that, I mean, he loves Oregon State, obviously, and seeing himself in that jersey, seeing how much he means to this program, I mean, seeing himself drawn out, he can go tweet this out to all his friends. I guarantee the first thing he did was go text his girlfriend, hey, check me out on this. I mean, I really think it's nice to see the Beavers using some innovative qualities there, what they're recruiting, and just trying to use different methods.
Well, and how competitive is college recruiting right now?
Ridiculous.
How competitive is it? You have to do something to set yourself apart. And I mean, maybe some people think it's corny, but I think that's great. It shows a little extra effort. You're doing something different. The kid gets excited about you, and you might that just might be the leg up you need.
Looking at myself holding the Heisman right there, if I was him, I'd get excited about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're running down the sideline against the Ducks like that last picture was there. That's great.
You know what that feels like.
That was a long time ago. It was a very long time ago.
I mean, I have to say, you know, when you're looking at ways to differentiate yourself, I think that is a pretty cool add-on that the Beavers did. And
coolest thing I got was pulled out of class for like an hour. So I want a comic.
You got a whole hour?
Whole hour. Whole hour.
All right, coming up later in the show, it'll be Burton's breakdown on the running back situation, which we have already started to talk about. And coming up next, we look at San Jose State, a team with a 2-quarterback system.
Well, we're going to have to stop the run. And, you know, Coach Borges, again, is famous for wanting to run the football and be physical, number one. And number two, he's famous for trick plays. There's a lot of people out there say there's this special book of trick plays he has somewhere. So, and he just pulls pages from it every once in a while. So he's very experienced. The screen game, I believe, will be a big part of it. And then he's going to play action pass and try to take some shots. So, but it all starts with, it's a pro-style offense with stopping the run.
Coach talking about Al Borges, the Spartans offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and some of the things that he's known for in there. We want you to step in and talk about what you're excited about, worried about with San Jose State coming to Reserve Stadium. So send in your tweets to #BeaversFB. But for you, 2-quarterback system. We were expecting that with the Beavers. That sort of disappeared on the first or second series of the season, but they legitimately do have a 2-quarterback system. So let's start there with their two guys, a runner and a passer. Joe Gray and Kenny Potter both getting playing time, and you can see the numbers. Obviously, Gray's the passer there, as you can tell, with 341 yards so far, but clearly they're both getting a lot of playing time.
They both do great. Kenny, as you said, he's more of the runner. He's got a great pair of legs on him. He'll run around and make plays, a lot like Seth does. And then Gray comes in. He's got a much better arm. He's an accurate passer. However, both of them last game came in and threw fourth-quarter interceptions, with both led to touchdowns to lose that game. So they are susceptible to turnovers if we can take advantage of that early. And the biggest thing is, like Coach said, stopping the run. I mean, yeah, trick plays, a lot of smaller schools do that to compete with the more athletic, larger programs. But if we can stop that run and put the ball into their hands, put the game into their hands, I think we've got a great chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got to be aware what quarterback's in there, right? So you know
exactly.
You know what you're looking for, what their strength is. Big thing, we talked about it earlier in the show. Offense has to get some first downs, because a team that's going to run on you, they're going to try to wear you out. Oregon State's defense, a lot faster this year, a lot more athletic, but they're going to need a break. They're going to need the offense to go out and score some points for them, pick up some first downs, give them some rest. Because I think if they can do that, the more athleticism we have on the field, more speed we have on the field, better getting to the ball carrier, more people to the ball can create turnovers, do good things in our favor.
And given that McMarion and Collins, their quarterback battle went all through fall camp, really up into the first game, and given that the Beavers trained with that and practiced with that, do you think that sets them up to better deal with that type of running, throwing, 2-quarterback situation?
If it was me out there, I mean, I don't think necessarily seeing two different quarterbacks throughout camp is going to change anything because honestly, you see two quarterbacks throughout camp all the time anyway.
You're just focused on your assignment, right? If I'm correct?
The thing that's going to help us is, you're right, Matt, but the thing that's going to help us is facing Seth the whole time and seeing a mobile quarterback back there. We know how to handle speed because I tell you what, with the pass rush, when you're going against a mobile quarterback, usually you're sitting there with your head up. You have to always know where he is, and they're used to doing that all of fall camp. So that's the benefit that I think we had.
Well, they like to run the ball, and they run the ball, and they have a guy who can run it. So Tyler Irvin, how does he present challenges to the Beavers? What do they have to watch out for with him?
Pure athleticism. I mean, Matt, you can jump in here if you want to, but he's an athletic guy. As you look right there, it's all about speed with him. He's not that big of a guy, but he has great vision, just a lot like Chris Brown. Great vision, and he knows what to do with the ball.
Good burst. Yeah, I mean, he made a great move in the hole there, had a great burst to accelerate up the field. And I think it's great leading us into Pac-12 play, right? Because we're going to face a ton of good running backs and a ton of offensive lines that can just wear you down. So this, I think, is a great game for us to get our last game in going before conference play, because it's what we're going to see all year. Utah, Oregon, Stanford, Washington, they're going to try to run it down your throat. I think everybody except Cal, who throws the ball 1,000 times a game, is just going to try to stuff it down the middle. So great warm-up game, great opportunity for us to get used to that. Tyler's had a hell of a year so far. Looks like a great running back. Good challenge for us and get ready to play
200-yard games in a row. I mean, I want to see how our D-line steps up. They got pushed all over the field in the second half. I mean, every time when you're not touching a running back until 2-3 yards into your field, that's not a good thing. How does Pecco step up? How do those guys up front step up this week in order to combat a guy like that?
Get some tackles in the backfield. That would be nice to see, is making some tackles for loss, big plays in the backfield. What did you call it when you were there? Party in the back?
Party at the Rock.
Yeah, Party at the Rock.
Party at the Rock. Yeah, 2 120-yard-plus first games. He has definitely put up some numbers. Let's talk about somebody on the Beavers who's had to stand on the opposite on defense, who's had a standout season so far through 2 games. That's Romo Magno, and kind of guy that can make some stops here.
If you watch the intensity that he plays with, he's making plays all over the field, and he's really bringing up the defenders around him, which is so nice. Being a younger player like he is, the leadership he's already assumed on this team is so impressive. And from whatever the coaches tell me, he's an extremely smart guy. He loves watching film. He's a mental guy, and then his athleticism just complements his brain. So with a guy like that, it's an awesome thing.
He's one of those middle linebackers as a running back is intimidating because he looks like a fire hydrant. The guy is 2 yards wide. He has muscles everywhere. But which is not always that intimidating because you usually think, oh, I can run around him, I can get to his left, I can outrun him. He runs very well sideline to sideline. And he's been in on a lot of plays, he leads us in tackles, I believe. He's made a lot of great plays. But that's intimidating when you have a guy that size and that strong who can run side to side. Because as a running back, you know he's going to be there and he's waiting for that shot to just take you out.
Being such a sure tackler, and then his blitzing. He has great pass rush moves. I love the way he uses his hands. So it's been impressive watching him.
Great instincts, caused a couple fumbles already, got in there for a couple sacks. Really excited to watch. I think he's going to have a big day on Saturday.
Every time I see him now, I'm going to think of a fire hydrant, Matt. I like the comparison.
That's what my old man told me all grown up, so that's just the word I use.
All right, I like it. Okay, coming up next, it is Burton's Breakdown. Nigel, what do you have for us tonight?
Katie, coming up next, I'll be breaking down why you're going to see a lot less Storm and a lot more Chris Brown, the running back, not the singer, in the Oregon State backfield this season.
Now we turn our attention to their defense and taking a look at the Spartans. Red zone defense, 4 for 4 is not good. That means they have given up 4 touchdowns when opponents have had 4 trips into the red zone. So that is a positive sign for the Beavers heading in. And then rushing yards, allowing 277 rushing yards. So we're talking about the Beavers need to get their rushing game going. Tomorrow would be a good time to get that started.
That's the ideal time to do it. Team struggling 4 for 4 in the red zone, and as a running back, that's where you take pride of, hey, I got to punch this in. This is all on me. Great opportunity for him again. Giving up 270 yards a game in rushing. I think the most we've had in a game is from a running back is maybe 50 so far, maybe 80 total. this is when we need to get it going, get the ship righted, get the train going in the right direction.
That 4 for 4, I mean, once you pass the 20-yard line, it's just you may pass go, collect the $200. I mean, it's easy from there on out. What I wanted to point out, though, is the 42 yards per game with the pass defense. I mean, granted, they haven't been passed on a lot, but their strength in defense is their defensive backfield. That's led by a guy named Jimmy Pruitt, who I'll probably talk about later. But this is a strong unit they're confident with. Their safeties are the second and third leading tacklers on their team. So it could be a challenge for Seth to get the ball in the air a lot this game because that's where they feel they're most protected.
But as a third game of the season now, they've kind of hopefully worked out some kinks. Quarterback's not a true freshman starting for the first time anymore. Hopefully he's got some confidence going. I know the last game was a rough game, but he did some good things. You agree this is the time where, like, hey, we need to put actually a complete game together. We need to run the ball well. We need to convert on third downs. We need to make some big plays and just have not methodical, but just drives down the field chunk after chunk after chunk and then punch it in when we get in the red zone because San Jose State has had a lot of trouble stopping people down there.
Drives like we saw at the start of the Michigan game.
That would be nice.
They were in such a flow and they were running it and passing it, had such a nice mix of plays. And
I was excited. I thought it was going to be a great Saturday.
And my key to the game last week was to score first, and I was thinking, I'm brilliant. And then it all sort of went south really quick.
It's how you finish. It's how you finish.
All right, well, we're talking about San Jose State may present a great opportunity to get the running game going tomorrow. And, well, tonight in Burton's Breakdown, Nigel talks about the Beavers' running situation.
So a lot was made about Storm-Barred Woods not starting for Oregon State at Michigan last Saturday. Chris Brown got a ton of run early. Now some even speculated that Coach Gary Anderson's post-game comments about guys not having the right attitude and not buying in were actually directed at Storm. But it wasn't Storm's attitude that was the issue. Chris Brown is a real dude. Let's go to the In Focus Mondo Pad collaboration that works and see what we're talking about. Now against Michigan, early on in the game, first drive, they run a simple read zone that Chris Brown explodes for 26 yards and puts the Beavers in great field position. But it's not as simple as it looks. Early in this play, you can see that Michigan's defense has actually gapped this play out pretty well. But what Chris Brown does is takes that quick jab step, which forces the Michigan linebacker to over-pursue. It sets his block up beautifully. And Chris is able to explode through for those 26 yards. That subtle jab step is what made the difference. You're going to see a lot more Chris Brown if he keeps doing things like this early on in games for the Beavs.
And Burton's Breakdown brought to you by Standard TV and Appliance, setting the standard since 1947. All right, so the question, who should start? Chris Brown, Storm-Barred Woods, of course, Storm injured with that knee injury that came up very close. We were wondering why he wasn't playing last week, and apparently his knee was bothering him. But pretty close in rush attempts. Chris has 3 more. Obviously, he carried the load in the Michigan game and close in yardage, too. Neither at 100 yet, so we need to get that going. But who should start? Who gets the nod?
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Chris Brown, and this is not a knock on Storm Woods. I like Storm Woods' attitude. I like his energy. He's very fast. He's done some great things over the year at Oregon State. The thing I like about Brown is right there, that little shift to the right, put his right foot in the ground and accelerate back to the left. That's very hard to do. It looks like a small thing that set up those linebackers, got him out of position, opened up the cutback lane for him, and then he has the burst to get through it. And you can see him right there running very, very hard. I just think he's a complete back right now. I think he's running better than Storm. I've always liked Storm, but he seems to not deal with contact as well as Brown is doing right now. And that move where they kind of shuffle to the right, set his defenders up, and then cut behind him, that's very hard to do. Great experienced running backs do that, and that's going to pay dividends and make small plays turn into big plays throughout the year.
I agree with you in part. I mean, he, as a pure runner, I agree he's better than Storm, but I think Storm brings a lot more to the table than just pure running ability. I mean, first off, he's a much better pass blocker than Chris is. Chris is still working on that. He's got to get better. But what I think is best about Storm out there is his leadership. I mean, he brings something to the huddle that Chris doesn't have experience with. The guys are comfortable with Storm out there. He's a leader on the team. He can direct the huddle if a freshman quarterback is a bit shaken up or nervous out there. I like what he gives to the team that Chris is still developing.
That's a great point. It's hard to argue with you on that point, but I'm going to go ahead and say with the way we've been running the ball, we need need touchdowns and we need explosive plays. So I like the leadership. We are going to need someone to pick up the pass block with a young quarterback. Chris has done, I think, a decent job of that. But I just want to see an explosive play and someone get in the end zone and see a touchdown dance or something from a running back, because we have not seen anything close to that so far in 2 games.
All right, I want somebody to chime in. Who would you start, Storm Woods or Chris Brown? And I'm going to challenge Slade a little bit, because I know you're saying Slade here, but I know your gut wants to go with Chris. You think he's better, don't you?
You know, as I said, as a pure running back, if I'm going to hand off the ball to somebody and he has to make some cuts and it's a long situation, I give it to Chris. But Storm brings he's a more complete back.
All right, the more complete back. I'm going with you. I'm going for the yards.
Oh, takes the better looking guy, of course.
I like that shift that he did. I just think he shows so much of his potential, what he could do. All right, when we come back, Slade is going to tell us the most dangerous players on San Jose State's team that we need to watch out for tomorrow night. All right, now we know what fans really care about. We asked for tweets about which running back should start, and we get this. Skylar, Slade needs a rally beard like Matt Sieverson.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Skylar, I don't know who you are or where you are out there, but I love you, man. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you
for tweets again? Is that what it is?
No beard. He doesn't look scary. But
I'll get that for you guys. I'll work on that. Give me a few
months.
Few months?
Take it easy.
All right. He doesn't look scary, but he does have the players who should be the most scary for San Jose State.
I don't know if they have beards or not, but I'll bring it over here. So for the number 4 guy, these guys all are great players. With the number 4, I'm going to go with their corner, Jimmy Pruitt here. Now, as I already said, their defensive backfield is great. They lead the nation in the fewest yards allowed per game, and he has the only interception on the team so far. They're all good athletes, but I view him as the biggest threat for Seth this next week. This leads me into our number 3. I got to go with staying in the air, Tyler Winston. He's a great wide receiver, has just over 105 yards for his season this year. He's a 6'2" guy. He has great hands, great athletic ability. He can go up and get the ball in our defense. This is the guy where if they have a 3rd and long situation, they're going to go right to him. And I want to see how our corners match up, because with the Pac-12, we got a lot of great wide receivers that we're going to face this year. So he'll be a good test so far to test our guys. Moving up to number 2. And this guy, I really debated who was going to be number 2 and number 1, but I got to go with Christian Tago as number 2. Now, to give you a little preface here, last week, he was knocked out on some might call a cheap hit in the 4th quarter, and he had concussion-like symptoms, took him out of the game. Every single possession after that, the next 3 possessions, Air Force scored every single time. That's how important he is to this team.
Is he ready to play at Oregon State?
He should be ready to play. They're saying he is. It might be just coach talk, I'm not sure, but we should expect to see him on the field. You see how many tackles he has. He means a lot to this team, and it'll be exciting to see what he does against the Beavers and how we block him, because he is the guy that's probably going to shadow Seth Collins, and if he's out, it's going to be a huge loss for San Jose State this next week. This leads me to my last and final player.
Oh, that's scary running back.
Obviously, I think you guys all know I tilted a little bit there. Tyler Ervin, the running back. He is so fast, such good vision. As we already said, we talked a lot about him, but he's so explosive. We have to stop the run this week in order to be successful. Last week, we let the run get to us, but looking at what he does, he's able to break tackles even with his small stature. If we can stop the run and put the game in these quarterbacks' hands, we'll have a great chance to have a successful week against San Jose State.
What's the key to stopping him? You think it's getting the guys to the ball, or what's going to be the formula for the Beavers to slow him down?
If you watched Oregon State last week, the 1st quarter, we rallied to the ball. We had more than one guy just making tackles, 4 or 5 guys, as you said, party at the Rock. That's what we have to do this next week, because this guy's fast. He's going to break tackles. We need more than one guy to bring him down. Penetration with our D-line, and then partying at the Rock, and we'll be able to take him down.
No arm tackles.
No arm tackles, no.
All right, thank you. You know what I need, Slade?
What do you need?
I need some new Beavers garb. I always like to get at least 1 or 2 new things this season.
You know what?
Right?
For you, I may just talk about the women then.
Well, I am so happy about that. I actually went to the Beavers store at the opening game. Very impressive. A lot of options. Fantastic stuff. So OSU Beaver store, fans start here, and Slade is going to help me find my next Beavers car.
I've always got you guys.
Own personal fashionista.
Reser Stadium, the place to be tomorrow night, 5 o'clock kickoff against San Jose State as the Beavers try to pick up win number 2 of the year at home. All right, of course, we have you covered all week long here on Comcast Sportsnet with your Beavers coverage. Starts on Wednesday with Talkin' Beavers with Slade, Lindsey Schnell, and Mike Parker. And Beavers Inside the Huddle with Coach Anderson on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. And Friday, normally we come to you at 9 o'clock with #BeaversFootball, but next week, of course, we play Stanford on Friday night, so we will come to you a night early on Thursday night, I believe at 8 o'clock, and Coach might get bumped up a little bit. So join us next Thursday night to get ready for the game. And then, of course, game day, Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. But first, before we start talking about Stanford and Pac-12 play, San Jose State stands in the way. Slade and Matt are going to give their keys to success. But first, Coach Anderson talks about his keys.
Talked to a few people about them, and San Jose has some speed. At the corner position, they've got some good speed out there. At the wideout spot, they have a very talented running back that has a lot of reps behind him, and he's done a lot of good things on the tape when you watch it last year and then watch this year's film also.
All right, and some of your tweets. Kevin writes in, CSNNW dominate the line of scrimmage, which will open up the passing game for Collins. What do you think about that?
Kevin. I'm going to talk about that in a minute here. I like where he's going with that.
Smart man.
All right, and Carrie writes in, win the turnover game, no penalties. Storm, Barwoods, 100-plus rushing yards. Bolden, 100-plus rushing and receiving. Everybody contribute.
He's got a big offensive game there. That's a lot of hard
the offense going.
Bolden's going to earn his money, it sounds like.
Yeah, I called out Bolden over on Talkin' Beavers, and I hope he heard me because I'm hoping to feel really stupid next week when he comes out and has that 100-plus.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that fumble that sort of changed the momentum. And then, of course, our last tweet there, keys to the game for you, Matt. What do you think needs to happen for the Beavers to come away with the win?
3 keys that I got. I'm going to start with the defense. And like we said, I mean, they got beat up in the second half of that Michigan game. I don't think it was all their fault. I think a lot of it had to do with they were on the field too long. And with a Harbaugh offense, he's going to pound the rock. He's going to run at you every chance he gets. And I think they were put in an unfair situation. But big thing going into tomorrow is they're going to need to create turnovers. Everybody do their job. Don't try to do too much. Like we talked about earlier, don't need to go be a hero. Don't need to try to make the incredible play. But just do your assignment. Things are going to fit together, and we're going to get opportunity to cause turnovers. If we can get 2 or more turnovers, I think that leads us into good field position, get opportunities to get a cheap score here or there, and I think that will get us going in the right direction to start us off right. The other thing I want to see, and I've talked about it all show long, and I'm sorry, I'm an old running back, like it's sentimental. That's what I want to talk about. But we need a touchdown from a running back. It absolutely has to happen. We need a game where we can run the rock. We dominate the line of scrimmage. Like I think Kevin was our first tweet. Was Kevin our first tweet? He has the right idea. We need to dominate the line of scrimmage, run the rock repeatedly, get to the point where San Diego State's waving the white flag, and punch in a run from 5-4, even at the goal line. Just punch a run in, make a statement. Want to see a celebration in the end zone from a running back. I think that'd be a big step for both Storm and Chris, getting the train going, getting things going in the right direction, and they can build on that and get some of that competition going like we were talking about earlier. And finally, we actually have tight ends on this team, believe it or not. I don't know if you've seen them on the field lately.
They mysteriously vanished.
They mysteriously vanished. I don't know. Caleb Smith was a big contributor as a sophomore. Showed up, made some big plays as a junior. I don't even know if he's on the field the last 2 games, to be honest. I think he caught 1 ball for 9 yards at Michigan, and I don't think he had any receptions at the opener at Weaver State. But he's a heck of an athlete. He is a heck of a weapon. We have to utilize him. Kellen Clute, the backup, the second tight end, he gets plays a lot too. I think he had 1 reception in the first game. Those guys are weapons, and they're great blockers, and they need to keep put their head down, blocking well, open up running lanes, but we need to reward them with a shot down the field once or twice, and if we could get them involved and take some pressure off of Bolden and the outside receivers, that's just going to make us that more dynamic on offense.
You know, Matt, you're talking about the run game and how we need to establish it. Well, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go, we need to stop the run game. We've already talked about how good Tyler Irvin is, how athletically talented he is. We've got to put a stop to that, be able to take back the clock and keep our defense off the field. We were so tired in that second half of our defense. I felt bad for the guys. Give our defense a break, and they'll perform like they did the first week.
Great.
My next one, I'm going to go 3rd downs. We've got to get them. We were 1 for 11 last week.
Collins.
And that's going to be on Seth on his arm. He only has 4 passing first downs so far. If we can control the third down percentage and get that up, only 25% on the season, we'll have success this week. Last but not least, you want turnovers. I'm going to say explosive plays. Explosive plays are a lot like turnovers changing the field. What an explosive play is, 12 yards or more as a run, 20 yards or more as a pass. And from everything that I've experienced, if you have more than 2 explosive plays in a game, more than 2 than your opponent, you're going to win that game. So I want 4 more explosive plays this week than the opponent, and I think we got the game.
All right. I like the 2 of those together. Be a good night at Reser Stadium if they put all 6 of those things together.
Did we make any explosive plays back when we were playing?
You know, I believe you had a bunch. I stopped a lot.
All right, here we go. This is what earlier they were calling for a beard, and Slade, here is what you would look like with a beard.
The rendering is just, it really fits me, you know? I think I might have to grow it out for you guys. I mean, if the fans call for it, I guess I have
that
to,
baby
right?
face, that baby face.
We're going to need to do some work on that.
We should start growing it now.
I got a little scruff here and there.
We should start growing it now and see how far you get by the end of the season.
You know what? If we get a win, I might just do it.
Oh, okay. So he says, all right, enjoy the game. San Jose State, 5 o'clock Saturday night, and we'll be back here a special night next week on Thursday.